Hey everyone, and welcome to 996 The Howl for the uninitiated. This is an unedited YouTube vlog discussing everything Arizona Coyotes, and they got the win. You could put it in the bank and just move on from the Anaheim Ducks. I mean, John Gibson had a couple amazing nights. Finally, the Coyotes managed to solve John Gibson last night, getting 3 goals, but the way they scored didn't really inspire confidence in me watching that game. They didn't even score. They didn't even put the puck in the net themselves until a third period, where their first 2 goals were deflections, throwing the puck on net and hoping to see what happens. And before they even faced Anaheim, I knew that was how they're going to score. They needed to throw pucks on net, crash the net, and they didn't do too much of it Tuesday night. But last night, if you look at their shot chart, so many shots. In the house area, they had about 17 shots. 3 of them were the goals around the house area, around the crease, and just above the crease of the hash marks. And so the Coyotes get the win. It wasn't really a fun win. It was more of a frustrating win. Gibson, again, was playing unbelievable. A couple missed chances by the Coyotes, especially Phil Kessel, who missed like 2 yawning cages to put the puck in the net. Not sure what he was doing. He usually has great accuracy with his shots, but just kind of fumbled it on those shots. But the game started exactly like how it started on Tuesday, where the Coyotes didn't have a great period. The Anaheim Ducks had a way better first period than the Coyotes in both of the games. It was a Coyotes turnover in their own zone to an open Ducks player, and the Ducks player just shoots it in the net past Kemper, which was the story for both games. It's kind of unbelievable how both games started out the same. They mirrored each other. Guys were actually looking pretty bad in the first period last night, skating over the puck. Their passes weren't crisp or on the stick. They were just kind of like running into each other, and it looked like choppy. They were chopping the puck everywhere. Just it wasn't a smooth first period, and I was kind of clenching my fists and my butt, hoping this isn't like a game where the Ducks just take it away and run with it. But the Coyotes calmed it down, and then going into the second period, they had 90% of the possession compared to the Ducks. On Tuesday night, they had about 75%, so they increased it to 90%. And that's one of the best periods I've ever seen the Coyotes play. Just a whole period, once again, was in the Anaheim Ducks zone. The Coyotes were making great passing plays, a bit too much passing and cycling and ringing around the boards, a bit too much for my liking. But they managed to get that goal Christian Dvorak did off the back of the net, off Shattenkirk, and past Gibson. The Ducks had 1 shot in the second period, which was actually like a really good scoring chance. Ryan Getzlaf was found right in the open in front of Kemper, and Kemper makes a glove save without even knowing it. The puck's in his glove before Kemper could even react that he saved it, but good on Kemper. Going into the third period, the Anaheim Ducks played better in the third than they did the second, but the Coyotes still had their offensive zone time. And coming off of a power play, Shattenkirk gets a breakaway off a penalty out of the penalty box, and I was just hoping Kemper would make that save. And he ends up making that save, and the Coyotes end up winning the game 3-2. There was a bit of a kerfuffle between Gibson and Garland, which was frustrating in the game, but after the fact that they won, and just the next morning, I'm thinking about it. It's funny how they penalized Garland for just making fun of Gibson. Like, I've never seen a penalty call based on someone chirping another player. And Gibson was so frustrated in the game from Anaheim just having a lousy second and icing the puck continuously. Every time the Ducks iced the puck, the camera was panning to Gibson, and his face just showed how much frustration he had. He was just like saying, what more can I do? I'm just like carrying this team on my back every single minute of every single game, and they're not rewarding me. So I guess Garland may have said something to tick him off, and Gibson just slams Garland to the ice, and they both get penalties where I don't think Garland should even get a penalty. And so, yeah, it just irks me while watching the game how it shouldn't have been a 4-on-4 at all. Late into the game, that could have been, a recipe for disaster if the Ducks used that 4-on-4 and managed to capitalize on it. But lately I've been kind of like on the refs a bit, which I'm usually not. I don't like blaming the refs, but the refs have been so questionable lately. That icing call against Vegas last night, there was a boarding call on Chikrin, which was a dangerous play, and it could have ended Chikrin's season way early. The Ducks player cross-checks downwards on his hips when Chikrin's going to the puck along the boards, loses his footing and crashes into the boards. I mean, his leg could have got caught easily. And the ref was right there too, and he didn't call it. He said that Chikrin fell on his own, which that's a dangerous play which needs to be out of the game. You cannot push a player into the boards when he has momentum going into the boards to retrieve the puck. I thought that was dangerous, and then coupled with the unsportsmanlike penalty from Garland, I mean, you can't penalize a player for using his mouth. I mean, like, that's not even in the rule book, unless it's like a racist or like very, very damaging words he's using. But it's Connor Garland. This guy's like 5'8". He's not saying much. He's just trying to get Gibson off his game. And actually, the takedown that Gibson had was severely dangerous. He took Garland from behind, wraps his head and neck around his gloves and blocker, and throws him down. It looked almost Todd Bertuzzi-like about 10 years ago, which ended the career of that Avalanche player, and Bertuzzi's career was kind of finished after that. So I would have hoped the refs called the game a bit better. Those are the only two instances where I hoped the calls went the other way. But moving forward, the Coyotes got a 6-game road trip against teams they're chasing. 2 games against St. Louis, 2 against the Wild, and then 2 against the Boogeymen and the Avalanche. They got to come out of this road trip above 500 for sure. It's good that they got their win before the road trip, so they don't need to climb out such of a deep hole as if they lost against Anaheim a second time. But they're still in the mix. They're about 2 points behind 4th and 3rd place for the playoffs. But the teams are chasing are St. Louis and Minnesota. So if you get wins against those teams, I mean, in a type of season where you're only playing your division, those are great points to gain against opponents you're chasing. Those are 4-point nights. You could win both games against each of St. Louis and Minnesota and leapfrog them 4 points. So these are important games. It's their first long road trip of the season. They got to have a bit of a break, 4 days off, get the juices back. Hopefully they just practice their offense and their power play, and just get more confidence in goal scoring, because the past 3 games, their offensive execution doesn't inspire confidence in me, and I'm actually worried about their offense as opposed to their possession. They got great possession in the offensive zone. They just need to learn how to use that possession and actually capitalize and make teams pay, because there's so many times where they have so much possession, and then the other team could go the other way on just an off chance and score, and they would lose all that momentum for nothing. So I just wish that there was more production out of their offensive possession, and they just got to work on that. More pucks to the net, more crashing the net, more passing plays to the middle of the ice. That's just exactly how they won the game, with Kessel finding Dvorak, between the hash marks in front of the goalie, and he just rips it into the net. So they got to work on their offense, obviously, but more execution. Their possession is great. Their defense is doing great. Penalty kill is still doing great. They let in the Anaheim's first ever power play goal this season, which obviously happens to the Coyotes, but still confident in their penalty killing. Their defensive game is sound. Kemper is doing really well. Ranta's off the injury reserve. So hopefully we see a game with Ranta and the goalies just stay solid, and they just got to work on their offense and see where it goes from there. It's not too bad of a feeling coming out of that second game against Anaheim. They got to pick up some points, though. Even if they lose games, they got to learn to push games to overtime and not lose too many games in regulation. So that's it for me. Thank you for watching, and thank you for your support.